All right, go ahead, Susan. Tell him.
Tell me what?
Well,
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me 1 second. Hello?
Hi. Would you be interested in switching over to TMI long distance service?
Oh, gee, I can't talk right now. Why don't you give me your home number and I'll call you later?
I'm sorry. We're not allowed to do that.
Oh, I guess you don't want people calling you at home.
No.
Well, now you know how I feel.
Welcome to 26 for 26, a series showcasing some of my favorite cultural touchstones that are celebrating an anniversary in 2026. I'm your host, Nick, and together we'll take a closer look at the movies, music, games, and a couple of curveballs, and why we should be celebrating their milestone. Today's episode, the first telephone call, which occurred on March 10th, 1876.
Cappuccino, Simpson? Ahoy, hoy? No, you have the wrong number. This is 5246. I suspect you need more practice working your telephone machine. Not at all. Ahoy.
I will admit up front that I had a hard time finding much substance in the specific event of the first telephone call. To summarize a few paragraphs of Wikipedia, it was largely a publicity event for Alexander Graham Bell to show off his working telephone, which he obtained the patent for a few days earlier, by calling his assistant Thomas Watson to say, "Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you." More akin to a ceremonial first pitch, as the actual technical invention of the device had been evolving for several months, with competitor variants all jockeying to be first to market. The victory went to Bell, and the world was changed forever. But as for an episode, I found it more interesting to zoom out and look at this fulcrum point in the history of communication. So I enlisted Zach to talk through the history of how we send information across vast distances, how those formats have changed over the years, and what effect that has had and will have in the future on how we communicate with each other. Zach, I would love to have a little conversation with you about the history of communication. As you know, the 26 for 26 that we are talking about this week is celebrating the history of the very first phone call.
One, the history of communication is a wild.
Mm-hmm.
If we really think about it, right? So
and very rarely do we stop to think about these things.
Right. So we have the write the note, give it to the guy on the horse, and eventually it'll get there if guy on horse makes it there all in one piece and things like that. That's initial sort of communication.
Yeah.
And then we evolve to, we get the beep beeps and the telegrams and stuff like that.
Well, so that was going to be my first topic of discussion. Thinking back on it, how do you think the earliest folks sent information over long distances?
How early are we talking about?
As early back as you can think of.
I feel like the idea, well, of course we know like the natives all have like smoke signals and whatnot to communicate with each other.
You nail it. That is our first.
That was going to be that, or potentially, I could see them potentially raising carrier pigeons and things like that as well.
So we did figure out fire as a form of communication before we enlisted animals into the job. But there are many instances where the information you need to convey is more urgent than animal, whether it be land or air-based, can get it there. So yeah, smoke signals and like fire beacons were some of the earliest ways, and that's a very binary little bit of information.
Oneth by land, twoeth by sea.
Exactly. That's a pretty basic one, but yeah, there were a few more intricacies involved.
Because you could do like a Morse code with a fire signal, like.
You can do, kind of bursts of info. There was also like one fire meant like a large force was coming. Two fires meant a smaller force was coming. If the fire was further back on your hill, that meant things were fine. If the fire is up on the very front top of the hill, that was a SOS emergency signal.
And if you just see straight burning, that's a forest fire.
Yeah, pretty much. Size was also a big factor. So that was sort of our first, way of getting things done. This is, of course, very limited by geography. You need sight lines. You need weather to cooperate with you. That's not always great for, emergency. The Huns are coming.
Oh, it's raining.
Yeah, Great Wall of China. Very hard to rally your defenses down the line when no one can see what's going on.
Ooh, fireworks. Could have done fireworks.
Well, that is what the Chinese also did. They did get that innovation going
Oh, look.
as well.
Now we can introduce colors? That's crazy.
And now you have more, fidelity of information.
One-th by land,
And that sort of evolved eventually into a flag signaling system when we get to seafaring days.
I can't. Oh, God. Can you imagine? You boy, go manage the flag. I know you're getting shot at by cannons and all that. It'll be fine. Go handle that business, though. All right,
absolutely.
boss.
You know that went to the bottom of the totem pole to go do the flag work.
You want me to do what now?
Yeah, absolutely. But again, a system that is thwarted by visibility issues and can only contain so much. Either you have to have a lot of flags and everyone has to know what the flags mean, or you're just not conveying a whole lot of information.
It's just a man there spinning his flag.
Yep. And then eventually we do get to the telegraph, but by way of your, funnily enough, and I don't know if you ever actually made one of these, the cup and string phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think even back east still, they still have like lines of strings that are all connected that would initially, you'd attach to a machine and they go beep, 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 and someone on the other side would listen. That's how the initial system ran.
Well, that is the telegraph system, but that was based on literally for house to house, you could just have a cup with literal string.
That'd be so annoying.
And you could talk into the cup, and the person on the other end puts it up to their ear, and they can, you get it.
This is where the game
very bad quality.
This is where the
connection.
Game of telephone comes along.
Literally, yes, yeah. So that initial idea of we can transfer the sound through a conduit, a string, evolves into the telephone system. Well, before we got to that, we tried to do the flag thing with the telephone or the telegraph poles. But again, you have geography, like if you need sight lines to line up.
Foggy day, you're cooked, especially in the east. Oh,
yep.
By the sea? No,
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly. It wasn't until the 1800s, though, that we started getting electricity mixed into this biz here. And
Thank you, Thomas Edison.
he was one of the guys involved.
Nikola Tesla, but
Yeah, I mean, Tesla was Edison was there fighting with Tesla on one side about one thing, and
AC/DC.
with Alexander Graham Bell on the phone front, and he had his beefs with a lot of folks back in the day.
As they all do.
Indeed. But it's to me, it's a very interesting thing because it's a very direct example of what we call the telescopic evolution of a technology, where by developing these systems of transferring information across longer and longer distances, more and more reliably, able to get more and more information across, we exponentially increase the rate at which we get better at doing that. And then, so pretty quickly from telegraph, 30 years later, Alexander Graham Bell gets to telephone, where instead of having to transmit in boop, 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 boops, we can actually do actual voice.
Hey, idiot.
Do you know the history of that was one of the Edison versus Bell debates on what the greeting should be when you answer the phone?
I'm not surprised, but no.
Edison was a proponent of saying hello. Bell thought it should have been a nautical greeting, which is ahoy, and that's why in The Simpsons, Mr. Burns answers the phone with ahoy hoy, because he's old enough to remember the Edison-Bell debate.
I hate ahoy. I don't like ahoy. I don't even really like hello, but...
Well, no one does nowadays, and we'll get to that. But so very quickly you go from boop-a-boop to actually being able to transmit voice without megaphone or something to anyone that you can connect this wire to. So then obviously we spend a good 30, 50 years building a bunch of wires all over the place to get people connected. And
Fairly poorly so, might I add.
oh yes, it was very rough, like quick and roughshod in the early days, and very primitive. Like you said, there would be like a central station that had literally a wire for every business and building, that if you wanted to be on the phone network, you had to have a wire from your house to the hub, and that gets pretty messy pretty quickly. And so the next innovation comes along where we get better at making big base towers that can cover a broad range, and then can be a little bit more discreet with how we wire everyone in directly. This booms out from being something that only businesses are using to now everyone who has a home can have a phone in their home. And like most technologies, it was decried as devilry and would shatter the American family, this loud, electronic, obnoxious distraction.
Yeah, love me. I can only guess who said that, but
And hey, maybe they were right, because we don't really do it anymore, do we?
no, but that's for other reasons. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that's for different reasons.
Potential. I mean, people. I mean, I would argue it's for the reasons they said. No one wants to be bothered with a ringing phone at dinner time. That became such a cliche in the '90s that like we don't have a home phone here.
Yeah,
Everyone has a phone in their pocket that if you need to get to a person directly, you got their number. So yeah, that is jumping the gun a little bit though. For the history, we get the development of the telephones around, and then the big breakthrough in the 60s, once we've made it out to space, satellites allow us to start doing cell networks, GPS, all that fun stuff, and all of a sudden, phones, are no longer stuck in the house or in the building, but can now be in a convenient gray brick that you carry around in a suitcase.
that may or may not contain cancer inside of it. Because it's a radioactive a little bit.
Just a little. We were still figuring out what components and whatnot were good to use in a phone that you put up to your head
Yeah.
very often. And with that immediate availability comes this influx into the society of the expectation of everyone having a phone, which quickly spread. Like the first cell phones come out in the late 70s, early 80s, and by 15 years later, everyone is expected to have some sort of communication device, if not a little Nokia brick. You had a pager or something if you were anyone of any import. And that evolves right into our sweet spot childhood where now literally everyone has a cell phone. Do you remember how old you are when you got your first phone?
I was 14 when I got my first phone.
That's a little surprising because I was also freshman year of high school.
Yeah, that's me and you were on the same schedule for the most part. But I knew most kids, at least with me, had phones by the time they were in 7th or 8th grade. So talking 12, 13.
And nowadays.
Today it's even younger. Like I'm sure once you hit the age of 6, 7, you start to need to contact people or have a way to contact your parents.
Yeah, and I mean, the whole thing about kids at school, pretty much every grade they have to have a phone in class policy type of thing.
Yeah.
And for good reason, that you would want your kids to be able to reach you at any given time in America for no specific reasons.
Send smoke signal.
Yeah. But we then have sort of lived through this heyday of, the technology is great, and then look at how fancy the phones can go. I have, in my lifetime, watched them evolve from that Nokia brick to little mini computers that are more powerful than machines I wish I could have had as computers in 8th grade.
The history of it is also weird, right? So if we think about it, like we start with the smoke signal, we run into the telegram, we finally get like an actual line phone that everyone loves, and you have to have the extension on it so it could reach all the way across your house.
Yep.
So you can go do stuff onto the cell phone, which we have today. And today, a lot of people aren't even really taking calls unless it's a scam or a toll-free call, or you have to call your doctor.
Yes.
To which we are only sending text, which is exactly like the telegram, which we kind of worked our way back to.
100%. Yes. Very funny that we have worked all the way back to preferring text-based communication.
Yeah, don't call me. What are you doing, you psycho?
Uh-huh. And that has been something that has happened in our lifetimes of the evolution from the phone call being a pretty standard daily ritual of communication. Like TV and sitcoms always show, the neighborhood gossip on the phone, and it was very widely expected, that like in my childhood, even though my neighbor lived across the street, I would come home and get on the phone and doot and call over there and be like, "Hi, can Nathan come out and play?" And that was just a pretty standard thing. And now I think the thought of doing that is insane because no one has that house phone to ring.
No.
And yeah, you would just text Nathan.
Send a text. Send a text, bro. What are you doing calling my house one? Also, why you not text me?
Yeah.
The other crazy thing is like how from the cell phone we went to this giant ginormous thing, which was potentially just a big cancer brick, to working our way down to how small can we possibly get to the indestructible, basically Nokia.
Yep.
All the way back to how big can I possibly make this phone again?
We just need to make them fold a little. That's all.
Yeah. Can I fold this flat screen TV into my pocket? That is what I would like. Can it roll open?
And Korea has said, yes, you can.
Can I get a scroll open?
Korea says, yeah, we got that too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Korea says, do you want it to be in your car too?
Is it listening to me?
Absolutely.
I guess I don't care. To make it bigger.
But yeah, so there is that whole thing. And I saw some very interesting, like, it makes sense when you stop and think about it, that the invention of like the more personal phone meant that phone calls were much more private. And then with the advent of texting following along with the cell phones, that became what was originally supposed to be just like a secondary messaging format became so convenient because it allowed you to respond at your own time. There was no like, oh, a phone call, I need to take this and I will be on it for some indeterminate amount of time with at least one of my hands not free.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of got there a little bit when the pages were introduced. Like that was super revolutionary because there's just still not everyone had a cell phone quite yet, but is also called a little bit of a text-based thing where it's like, hey, need you now or call you or whatever, or just to send a little
it was like call
message.
This number or something, essentially.
Bunch of other codes, like there's a bunch of little pager codes and whatnot that basically Morse code, smoke signals and whatnot that was introduced there that a lot of people don't know exist. I'm pretty sure if we gave a kid a pager today, they have no clue what it is.
No clue what it was for, how to use it. But yeah, there is a funny similarity in all of these new communication forms to always start developing a shorthand. Like Morse code is full of those. Smoke signals, like we were saying. The primitive smoke signal is today's emoji, if I may be so bold.
A little bit. I'm curious where, if we considering communication, like how we do like the hieroglyphs or the paint or the wall paintings, like, because that's what essentially an emoji is. We're just going back to, I could probably easily enough to write you a whole message in these cute little pictures.
Or I can use, iconography to communicate my idea in a more concise way. Yeah, essentially the same thing. And yeah, with the revolution of the screen in the pockets, it did become very, like, there is now only a select handful of phone calls that are like, oh yeah, I will take that on first look. And it is generally like, oh, this is an emergency, or this is a doctor or like other professional institution calling.
Yeah.
And that's about it. And if it's anything, if it's not an emergency, put it in a text.
Basically.
I hope next time I move, I get a real easy phone number, something like 222-22222. I would say, yeah, and people say, hey, Mitch, how do I get a hold of you? I say, just press 2 for a while. And when I answer, you will know you have pressed 2 enough.
The other revolution of the mobile phone era that is a funny wrinkle, I think, to the phone call etiquette, and maybe this is only in certain age groups, but the FaceTime call. People,
especially the young people, love a FaceTime call.
For me, a FaceTime call is a higher offense than trying to regular call me. Why do you need to see my face? What do you want me on camera for?
The FaceTime call is especially like unannounced. An unannounced FaceTime call is
It's worse than
crazy.
an emergency to me. It's like this is an insanity thing.
I really only use those for tech support, and that's because I don't want to drive over there, or I'm too far, or I'm not within a range to drive over there.
Sure. Like there is a use for like I'm glad the tech exists. It's something that we grew up in our childhood as being the thing of cartoon fantasy. It was either a Jetsons or
I am curious as we continue to develop our technology and communications. You're not a big fan of the FaceTime call, but what if we had like the Star Wars holographic?
the hologram.
Yeah,
Just because it is from Star Wars, I will be down with that. Because it's very
That
fun
feels-
to think I'm a little dude on your hand, or I could be a big room-sized guy,
Yeah,
depending on how big a projector you're putting me on.
it's crazy because now I can see everything.
Yeah, you
Kind of ish.
you can't be doing a pantsless Zoom call type of thing, for sure. And now that's a whole nother different type of the group face chat, essentially.
I hate a group fit.
I mean, I think only by necessity did the world put up with them through the pandemic era, and it's wild to me how
They're
often
still
they have stuck around.
they still happen.
No, I know.
I've had so many of them. In fact,
I know. It's just funny to me that they are so universally like dragged. No one is pro Zoom call, but yet they remain.
I will prefer. To be fair, I think I prefer a Zoom meeting over going to an in person.
Having to go in office.
Yeah, well, not only in office, but go to like a location for a meeting. I'd much rather just let me dial in and do my thing versus now I actually have to be somewhere else and kind of at least look like I'm paying attention.
You feel more invested in a thing that you have to drive out to.
Yeah, and if I'm not invested in it, I don't want that.
Very good. The other part of the technology I would love to discuss a little bit is the evolution from the old sort of, like the old phonograph style audio of like how crackly and grainy a record sounds, and how we have now developed to microphones such as the ones that we are using to record this podcast that can pretty much, like if you have them dialed in correctly, can pretty much one-to-one recreate any sound you want them to.
Yeah, I do like a nice clear. I mean, anyone who says they would prefer like the crackle, the digital sound, which is like an audio effect people sometimes do go for specific things. But if I'm just having a conversation, that's
For speech in particular, the human ear much prefers clarity,
Yeah.
just by default. But it is wild to me. Like when you stop to think about it, it's a kind of crazy thing for these little machines, relatively little, to somehow be able to capture the sound waves that your vocal cords make in such high fidelity that it can then reproduce it out of a different machine speaker at 1-to-1, if not better.
hey, all you need is a string, baby.
Yes, these are very good, very expensive strings
Yeah.
that we have updated to,
That's the Bill Nye behind it.
for sure. So the lesson is God bless the XLR cord.
Yeah.
Very good. Where do we see the future of communication going? Prophesying from our chairs here in 2026. What do we think? Does it continue to go more text based? Do phone calls have a revival at some point?
No, I think our generation is sort of that Gen X, Y, Z generation is the last one to say, hey, give me a text before I get a phone call. Y and Z being that sort of generation, Z-ish, because I much prefer a text before I get a phone call because you can answer it anytime. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
Phone calls like I got to speak on the phone. I have to focus a little bit more. Not as good, but I mean, kids today, like I said, they just do the wild. Just I'm gonna FaceTime you right here, right now.
Yeah, and that isn't interesting because I think that Gen Z treats a FaceTime. There's no phone like call etiquette. They just kind of treat it like a hang.
Yep.
And I guess like our generation still has that a little bit, but it's in more discreet. Like To me, I feel like we do those in Discord or some other group chat like app type of thing, and it's not a phone. It's not a FaceTime call. It's the same concept, but yeah, it's not the casual like I'm just gonna hit you up cuz.
Yeah, so I think as we continue to move forward, I think getting to all that like little hollow disk hologram phase, I think is closer than we think it is, because that'd be like the next step. I mean, we've very much so figured out the FaceTime thing, the digital, the video call sort of thing. So the next step is how can I basically put that person in the room with you to have almost like a little face-to-face call would be the next logical step.
We definitely have seen some like tech demos of people who have been trying to push in that direction for sure. I feel like that'll be a whole nother wrinkle of like etiquette stuff of where will you look on the thing? Do you look at the communicator or do you look up and away so it seems like you're looking at them wherever they're receiving? How do you know which direction people are looking at you from?
Yeah,
a whole lot of funny things like that to consider.
Yeah, but I think that makes the most sense. I mean, the Kingsman even had it in the movies where they just digitally put the glasses on. You're in the room with everybody in your little seat as a digitalized person. So
that was, I think, yes, probably the most.
I think that's
probably the next closest step of fictional like pulls.
Yeah, it's almost like a little VR experience.
Yeah, there will definitely, because I think that's what it's going to be, is more tech enhanced into the daily like routine sort of thing. For whatever reason, the tech glasses still just don't hit with folks right now for the most part. They're getting closer.
They're getting more traction and better as we continue to go along. Like I've seen a lot more people with the Meta glasses or the Ray-Bans. I mean, there's streamers out there who exclusively just do it off their little eyeglass kit. I think as we continue to go forth, especially depending on what technology they bring in, like if you're going to say I can be in the room with a person, like as long as they have some sort of little disc or whatever that I can be with them at, I think they'll continue to gain traction that way.
And then I guess the other element of that, so if we think about these booms of progress that have come with the amount of information that we can convey, theoretically there should be an equivalent information sort of boom as we increase the bandwidth from just pure like vocal to now also being able to do voice and video and nearly full like surroundings type of thing. Like from an education standpoint, how much more, valuable is that? Like the notion of figuring out how to do something via text-based instruction versus someone like on the phone telling you what to do or watching a video of someone doing it as well and then telling you what to do. That third one seems like the best way to do it.
Yeah, I think there are some avenues, like when I'm thinking of like the good avenues, like I can see like having specialized people not have to even come to your house anymore. Maybe we cut down some of the costs there, that you can get help for whatever it may be. You got a leaky faucet or you busted a hole in your wall or whatever, whatever it might be, that you can just call somebody up and they can be there with you, look at it and kind of tell you what to do, what you need to do.
I saw actually an interesting application of this that's already in the real world in, I think it's Korea, where what you can do as a tourist is go and rent a little robot who is a drone for a person who has mobility disabilities, and that person can watch the camera from the little drone, and then through the microphone and speaker on the drone, give you a guided tour of the area without actually having to leave their desk.
Yeah, I think that's a cool idea. The dark side of this is like, if we are able to get this technology out right, I can imagine people are going to start to cram students in schools or at home or wherever else, and now your teacher doesn't manage the 30 kids that you're basically at cap in your classroom. Now they have to manage hundreds of them potentially, which does not seem as efficient or effective.
For sure. But maybe there's room for more educators if educators don't have to be tied to where they work.
the thought that I go to, right, is like if I want, let's say this really only applies to the public area because they have the less money. If I get this technology and all I have to have is a math teacher, this math teacher can teach all of my kids in one grade or whatever, then they can go on to the next grade and just teach all of them.
Yeah, that would be the capitalistic edge to it for sure.
That would be the way I think it goes, at least for the public. But now we're trying to say, well, if you want someone to come to you, that's going to cost an extra price.
Yes, in-person, actual human-to-human interaction then becomes the valuable high-end luxury item. An interesting look into this dystopias of the future brought to us by technology.
Little dystopian, but to be fair, I coach at high schools, and these kids ain't learning nothing anyway.
I mean, there's
it's all brain rot.
A whole separate discussion about the education system at large, but potentially we have the ability.
I don't know if I can completely blame the education system as a whole, because that's a different discussion. But
yeah, it's like looking at our schools built to teach kids things or get test scores.
Yeah,
type of thing.
To tie it back to what we're talking, it's because of these little damn things in our pocket that would be they're scrolling on the TikTok and the Reels or the YouTube Shorts, and they ain't learned nothing.
It's
they're so distracted, and their focus, their bandwidth is about a good 5 seconds at most.
That is the biggest critique I hear of this upcoming generation. A real lack of critical thinking skills, lateral thinking skills.
A real lack of just thinking skills. We're going to have... You have to imagine, right? So high school kids today, if we go forward 20 years, we're still going to be alive.
Yep.
These kids will be eligible to be president. And I can't have a president talking about how Ohio something is. To the ambassador of wherever, Zimbabwe, or we're trying to go after whoever it might be, an enemy, talking about that they're going to crash out because whoever is Ohio and
the kids of the day will find all of that slang utterly embarrassing as well. So it'll be fine. We'll be friends with them.
Yeah, I hope.
I mean, normally that's how these things go. There's the oscillations, as we kind of discussed last week as well. So, that's all definitely a thing. And congratulations on your first old man rant.
Thank you. I don't feel like that's an old man. I think that's a fair evaluation for anyone of anyone's age.
As anyone who's gone on an old man rant will say.
I'm just a man of logic.
It has nothing to do with me being an old man. I'm just right.
It's a fair, scary question. And even for some of these kids, I'd be like, I would never vote for my child to be president. My man's over here. He's crashing out right now.
I didn't say you were wrong. I just said it's an old man rant.
No. It's a rant to prevent. It's a warning, not a rant.
Yep, absolutely. That's what they all say. Well, Zach, thank you for sitting down for another lovely conversation for 26 for 26 and our long history of communication and how that the portal it opened will slowly lead us to our demise.
Oh, speaking of like...
now
that you're here, the portal that they have open somewhere where it's like you can look into it and you're seeing.
Oh, yes.
That's a form of communication. That's kind of like our first step.
And they have had to shut them down on multiple occasions.
Because people are wild.
Because people have no sense of decorum or proper behavior. Yeah, 100%. We that was a good catch to sneak that in there.
Yeah, but thank you for letting me join and talk all about communications and even going on my first old man rant as I enter my unk phase.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you're getting to that age.
Yeah, that means you're almost out of unk phase, unfortunately.
Oh no! What comes after unk?
Once you're after unk, you go to basically, I think it's unk, then it's old head.
I feel like I've been old head for a while.
Yeah, but that's since you were like the age of 12. But
yeah, very good.
Believe it or not, George isn't at home. Please leave a message at the beep. I must be out, or I'd pick up the phone. Where could I be? Believe it or not, I'm not home.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of 26 for 26. I hope you found it entertaining and or informative. If you're not already, please consider hitting your subscribe or follow button. It's a great way to show your support for the low price of free. 26 for 26 is a 321 production. Find all of our fine podcast products at 321pods.com. Also for the low price of free. Coming up on our next episode, we're going to check back in on Nintendo and find out what they're planning for the new millennium. Hope to see you then. Until next time.